hearts race.
And the crowd goes wild.
All across the nation, the Dirt Track Warriors duke it out for what matters the most.
The trophy
and the glory. This is Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises.
And welcome back to Gas and Glory, the place where we talk about what matters the most, the trophy and the glory. It's Kyle Luters and Neil Quick coming to you direct from the studios here at R&R Enterprises. And Neil, what a week for Team R&R. We've got big victories to talk about. Somebody took home thousands of dollars in the 50-50 draw, and I had quite the exciting night on an airplane. Sound intriguing enough for you?
Sounds like it's action-packed this week, Kyle.
Oh, it definitely is. We kicked things off last Wednesday.
I still got my ticket. Am I still eligible?
No. We're gonna
somebody win that?
Yeah, somebody won the 50-50 at the Kings Royal. We're going to get to that here in a second.
All right.
But
okay,
our good friend, Paul McMahan, who will be a guest on today's show, he picked up a huge victory, man. He won the Brad Doty Classic in Lima Land. What a phenomenal race between him and Sammy Swindell. And you know the cool thing about it? He had to take a couple of minutes because he was that emotional about winning that race. Brad, a huge hero for him, and you can tell by the victory lane photos, Paul was crying. I mean, you don't see that very often. He got very emotional about it.
Yeah, it was really cool to see him win that, especially after the past couple of weeks of him and Sammy kind of battling from week in and week out. And
Dodge City, yeah, they got together in the front row.
Yeah, there was a little bit of controversy there, but
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Paul coming and winning the Doty race, and you could see kind of all it boiling over emotion-wise and seeing it kind of release for him. And it was really cool. It was really cool to see him win that race, and a heck of a one to win. Doty race carries a lot of prestige, man.
Yes, it definitely does. Brad, a good friend here of the show. We've had him on. We've had Paul on in the past. It was Paul's third win of the season and kind of allowed him, along with a sixth and a fifth place finish, to tighten up with the top two in points. Donnie Schott still leads over Darren Pittman, but those top three now are within 100 points. Joey Saldana's a couple hundred markers back. But now we've kind of seen this four-horse race kind of shrivel down to a three-horse race, but don't count out Saldana yet. There's still a lot of racing yet to go.
Yeah, you can kind of start seeing, as we've been talking about, Donnie getting strong in this month and starting to carry a little bit of that momentum. But big win for Paul to keep him in the mix of this deal. And I'm with you. I don't think I would go to the point of counting Joey out of this deal. I think there's a chance that we still see a swing in what we've been seeing throughout the year.
That California, that West Coast Speed Week, where they race a ton out in Washington, Oregon, and California right in a row, I think that's going to be the thing that decides the championship, because last year Donnie Schatz used that to really close on up to Darren Pittman before they came back east to finish out the season. So we'll keep an eye on that. But another Team R&R driver picked up another win. Sammy Swindell won the night before the Royal, and it was good to see Sammy back in victory lane, especially after losing the Doty the way that he did. And Sammy, with some huge news, he's dropping off the World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series Tour, and he's running up to Knoxville the next couple of weeks to get ready for the Knoxville Nationals. So first I want to hear your thoughts about his win at Eldora.
Well, I think seeing what he pulled off on Friday night at Eldora, I was kind of excited going into Saturday night, seeing what he could do. And I think, unfortunately, he got his front wing knocked in there, and that kind of spoiled his night from the beginning on there.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of unfortunate. But Sammy continues to improve and get stronger, and I think that it's interesting to see what's happening with the team, especially this change in coming off the tour and going up to Knoxville for a couple of weeks. I think that's going to be a big deal.
Well, I mean, you really look at it this way. That should tell you just how important the Knoxville Nationals are to these teams. You're willing to pull off the road. Now, when you're with the World of Outlaws full-time, you're what's called a platinum team member.
Sure.
And you're eligible for point fund money. There's pit passes involved. There's tow money, all kinds of things. Now, we don't know the particulars of this. We don't want to get into the particulars of this. But let's just say with Sammy not going with the Outlaws back east, not going to Pennsylvania, New York, Canada, what if he loses all that? He's still willing to take that chance to go up there and try to win the Knoxville Nationals. Oh, by the way, interesting statistic. This will be the 40th year Sammy has gone to Knoxville to make the field for the Knoxville Nationals.
Well, it is, and Sammy's not one to make a snap decision. I think this is something that they thought about, and in long term it works best for the team. I think it's a something that they're trying to gear up to win that deal. And I think they weighed the possibility of, hey, going out east with the Outlaws running Williams Grove, what it takes to go the Canadian trip coming back there across.
Looking at cost as well, too.
Absolutely. And I think that I think this is a situation that the team kind of hit a little bit of a wall with where they're at and equipment, and said, hey, we need a couple of these weeks to regroup. And by the way, we need to get up there and get this car in line. We're a team capable of winning the Knoxville Nationals and knocking Donnie Schatz off that throne. And damn well right, we're going to.
Well, I mean, you look at it this way. Sammy currently sitting 10th in the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series point standings, really about 29 points behind Craig Kinzer, and then you've got a big jump up to Steve Kinzer and Cody Dare that next tier. You've also got about 400-point cushion over Jason Sides. So I guess what I'm trying to say in that aspect is we're not going to – you never say never.
Right.
But it would take a Titanic size chain of events, miracles, for Sammy to get up there into title contention. So you're out of it in the championship front. Why not trail off, go up to Knoxville, and with the Outlaws only having one night at Knoxville before the big race this year, we made a big deal about it earlier this summer.
Yeah, we talked about it.
This really helps Swindell, in my opinion. This really kind of boosts him up to the next level. You're going to put him on par now with a Brian Brown and other Knoxville regulars that get the chance to race there more often, beef up that notebook, and get ready because, oh, by the way, we're going to run 50 laps for $150,000 in the 54th FVP Knoxville Nationals. A lot of these Outlaw guys, one night this year.
No, and using these couple of weeks as more or less a practice session, a tune-up to going into the Nationals is obviously the thing that he weighed out more important to him instead of going out there and continuing with the tour. And I can't fault him for that. I mean, you're talking about a huge deal, and I'm sure it's something that all of them put their heads together and weighed out the decision, and this was best for them. And interested to see the outcome. Really interested to see what they find. And Sammy's kind of a poker player when it comes to a situation especially like this, and could be a little bit of head games going into the Nationals with this deal.
You know, it could be, and I'm a sucker. I'm a writer and a videographer. I like to tell stories.
Sure.
How cool of a story would it be that on Sammy's 40th year going to Knoxville, he picks up his second victory in that prestigious race? That guy has not won the Knoxville Nationals since the early 80s. I believe it was 1983 driving for Raymond Beadle. He has not won sprint car racing's biggest race since 1983. Steve Kinzer's won 12 of them in that span. Sammy Swindell, one of the greatest sprint car drivers ever, only one Knoxville Nationals title. He's definitely gunning for the second one. And we need to touch base on this. Kerry Madsen, the madman, all the way from Australia, pockets the $50,000 for winning the King's Royal, becomes King Kerry the 31st. And that's somebody else that we need to keep an eye on in the point standings as well, too.
He's climbing.
He's starting to make his climb because he's only 20 points behind Joey Saldana right now for the fourth spot. That right there shows you how strong the number 29 team is this year. Donnie Schatz, very strong, though, in the King's Royal. And how about that new STP car? Folks, if you haven't checked that out, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, follow Tony Stewart Racing. That's a cool-looking car, and I know you've gotten the chance to work with it quite a bit, that chrome look.
Yeah, that chrome look is definitely this year with the way they've got it with their traditional colors all chromed out. I think it's very, very trick. I know this kind of spawned off a couple years ago off the 50th Knoxville schemes when they were all gold chrome. And
so beautiful. Really
super stoked to seeing them guys doing that, and excited to see what new stuff comes out. The merchandise trailers will be full up there, and be sure, swing by Donnie Schatz's souvenir trailer, say hi to Diane, and pick up some of that new cool stuff that R&R's putting out there.
You're going to be over there too, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll be hanging out. Yeah, and stop by and see Neil. And oh, by the way, he will be carrying a Sharpie with him if you want your shirt or your die-cast autographed.
Seriously?
You're a celebrity.
Yeah, my own mind.
No, I don't know. You came in here and started making all kinds of demands today when we did the show. The air had to be a certain way. Your chair had to be a certain height. You wanted your mic stand adjusted a certain way.
That's just because I'm always
I think
running
you got
behind.
a trailer now. I think you have a trailer now.
Yeah, we do. Club R&R at the races. Stay tuned, folks. The
Undisclosed
Facebook
location.
post will be very interesting in Knoxville.
Undisclosed location this year. Oh, we almost missed this. You were talking about it earlier.
What's up?
The winning 50-50 ticket Friday night at Eldora, about $18,000. Okay, good sum of cash. Great sum of cash. The next night, Saturday night, $36,000, almost $37,000. You want to know what the funny thing is there, my friend?
What?
There was a fan that took home more cash than second place that night.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. He didn't have to spend any money in tires, fuel for the car. He didn't have to race 40 laps. He just bought a ticket or multiple tickets.
Let me ask you, that guy that wins that money that night, what do? They give him a bag of cash to walk out of there, or how's that work?
I think they cut him a check, and they have a security escort him. They have to get all the tax information because Uncle Sam is going to take his portion of that. Now, if it were me, I'd get like, have you ever seen that football, that nuclear football they carry around with the president all the time? It's a huge leather case. It's got all the launch security codes, very secure case.
Sure.
Give me that, and I'll put the $36,000 in cash in there.
Okay.
All right, I'd carry it out. I don't want to pay taxes on it.
So you got to pay taxes if you carry it out?
Not if it's in cash.
Really?
Well, I mean, technically, yes, you are. But if it's a check, it comes across in the bank.
You can definitely tell we're in the racing apparel business, and we make
don't.
stuff here. We're definitely not on the tax and what do you call this stuff? The accounting side of things?
Yeah, we're not on the accounting side of things. And at this time, I'd like to give a shout-out to our very own accounting department, Deb Rideout, for getting us through the end of the fiscal. I think the marketing budget, we might be able to get some new toys. I think we're in a new fiscal year.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So be thinking about that as we continue to roll on here.
So did Club R&R make last year's fiscal year or this year?
I don't know. It ain't coming out of my budget, that's for sure.
I'm telling you.
Moving right along, we can tell that we are rolling pretty good today.
Yes.
Billy Moyer picks up 4 straight Hell Tour wins. That's awesome.
That is unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable. I shouldn't say that. It's Billy Moyer. I mean, consistently putting it up front, and he's kind of like what we have on the sprint car side with Sammy and Steve. These guys continue to win, and it doesn't matter what age and what
they're
do.
seasoned.
They're seasoned. Seasoned. Speaking of seasoned, didn't I see Schrader about 10, 15 minutes walking through here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you saw Schrader. He was walking through here. He was wanting to know where you were at.
Yeah, that's why the show was delayed, because I was loading his truck up full of shirts.
Was he taking a nap?
Yeah, he was sleeping in Phil's office again.
God dang it, we got him a couch and a TV out in the lobby for that. Christopher Bell and Rico Abreu, they were also in the Kings Royal race, did fairly well. Rico Abreu will be at Knoxville this weekend, at least that's what I'm
about
hearing.
Kevin Swindell in the Indy Parts 71?
Okay, I want to take Kevin Swindell back to Wednesday at the Brad Doty Classic.
Yeah.
They rolled out one of the coolest looking cars I've seen in a long time, the 28D Bowers Cole machine. It was a tribute to Brad Doty, had just a plain aluminum wing, black body on it. Folks, this was one of the best tribute cars I've ever seen in sprint car racing, and I'm throwing it up there with the Weikert livestock cars that the Pennsylvania guys have been running. Danny Dietrich, I believe, when he goes to Knoxville, will be in the Weikert car, or excuse me, the colors anyways, not the car, but they'll have the Weikert colors. But that was very awesome. And then he goes to Eldora, and he's in the mix on Saturday night.
Well, I got a little bit of insight on that actually too, and I heard that left rear shock broke, and he ran the whole race that way. So even more impressive. I mean, watching some of the video, I mean, he was high, wide, and handsome, wide open around that place.
That's the one phrase I tell myself when I announce I've got to stop using, but it just rolls off the tongue so easy.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. Kenny Wallace is still Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace, latest on Kenny Wallace. I think he's doing. Hold on.
Breaking news.
Okay.
Kenny Wallace is taking his talents back to St. Louis. Sold the house in North Carolina.
Oh, really? Congratulations!
Yeah,
Kenny.
that was on Twitter. He's
Cool.
taking his talents back to St. Louis.
Well, I think he's
decision.
I think he's taking his talents to Iowa tonight, and then he's going to take his talents to the rental car, driving to Chillicothe tomorrow to go race the modified.
Oh, jeez. Kenny Wallace, here, there, everywhere, and yonder. So a good friend of ours as well too. So what a phenomenal week, like what we talked about. Paul McMahan winning the Doty, Sammy Swindell winning the night before the Kings Royal, Billy Moyer with 4 straight Hell Tour wins, and Kenny Wallace with the home sale. It was a great week for Team R&R. And at this time, we'd like to congratulate all of the Team R&R drivers on a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal weekend of racing, just winners everywhere, and great feel-good stories. So, yeah, it gives us quite a bit to talk about. But, yes.
You ready for the truck race?
Am I ready for the truck? We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. Hold on just a second, because at this time, I'd like to dive on into the interview with Paul McMahan. And folks, you're going to want to listen to this because you can still hear the emotion in his voice when he talks about winning the Brad Doty Classic. And he even gives us a preview of some of the tough Pennsylvania sprint car racing that's coming up for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Please give this a listen. And our guest today picked up the huge win at the Brad Doty Classic. It's Paul McMahan. Hey, man, and welcome back to Gas and Glory, and congratulations. This one was a biggie.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a dream come true for me to win that race. It's Brad Doty's my hero, and to win a race honoring him just meant the world to me.
No, it was so cool to see all the photos from Victory Lane and just the emotion on your face, and to hear it in the post-race interview was something pretty special, at least for all of us here around R&R. We get the chance to work with you and understand that you're very passionate about what you do, and that was just cool to see. But I'd like you to describe the battle that you had with Sammy Swindell. It looked like it was a pretty good bout.
Oh, yeah, we had me and Sammy had a good race going on. I started fourth and was able to get to second fairly early in the race, and just kind of bided my time through lap traffic. And at one point I was able to get by him, but he was able to get back by me on the outside the next lap. And just battled real hard through lap traffic, and finally got towards the end of the race, and he was on the top, and I was kind of just staying with him on the top. So I decided I'd try the bottom one more time, and I was able to stick the car right on the bottom and drive by, and didn't really know if I needed to get back to the top or not, but I committed myself to the bottom and just stayed there.
Wow, that's pretty sweet. And what was your first thought, or what was that first emotion as soon as you saw the checkered flag and you had won the race before you got out of the car or anything? As you're going off into turn one and starting to slow down, what was that first thought, that first emotion?
Well, after I took the checkered flag, I went one more lap just to make sure that it was the checkered flag, because I've done that before and not won a race. But so once I slowed down and I was exiting off the backstretch heading to the scales, all the emotion and the adrenaline came rushing through my whole body, and the tears just started running down my face heading to the scales, and just very excited to win that race. And I got back out to the front straightaway to do my interviews, and I had to sit in the car for a good couple, 2-3 minutes just to collect myself to make sure I got out without sobbing. And lo and behold, I started crying anyway as soon as I started doing my interview.
We'll excuse that this time around. No worries there. And what was the first thing that Brad said to you when he got down there as well?
Brad just congratulated me, and he didn't realize how much it meant to me to win that race. And during my interview, he said he actually got a tear in his eyes listening to the emotion in my voice about winning, his race. Brad's a very humble individual, and doesn't realize how much people look up to him and what a legend he is. And so it was neat, just to be there and sit on the right rear tire after the race and just have a conversation with Brad and just realizing that I won his race was just phenomenal.
Well, very sweet. And that wasn't the only success that you had in Ohio this past week. You rolled on down to Eldora Speedway for the Kings Royal. You didn't pick up the big check, but a pair of really good runs for the CJB number 51.
Yeah, we were good both nights at Eldora. Friday night we qualified well. We were second quick and running second in our heat race and blew a motor up. So that kind of set us behind the 8 ball, with the not making the dash. We won the B, had to start 12th or 11th in the A main and got up to 6th, which was a solid run for us. And, we weren't the best race car there. We were just mediocre. And to salvage a top 10 is always a good night. And then Kings Royal and I, we didn't qualify very well for us at Eldora, and was able to run second in our heat race and ended up starting 12th in the main event and got up to 5th. It was a good, solid weekend for us, but not the weekend we were looking for going into Kings Royal.
Yeah, the Kings Royal is a very unique format where heat race winners make up the first starting positions, the first 6 starting positions. So very interesting format there. You can get yourself behind very quickly. Chatting with Paul McMahan, winner of the Brad Doty Classic this past this past week in Lima, Ohio, a 6th and a 5th place finish the 2 nights at the Kings Royal at Eldora Speedway. And Paul, give us a preview of some of the tracks coming up, because now we're in the month of money. You have the Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup Twins. They're coming up. The Outlaws are going back to Lincoln Speedway. You set the track record there a little bit earlier this year. And then Williams Grove for the Summer Nationals, and then up to Lebanon Valley in New York. Give us a brief description of some of those tracks coming up and what you guys are looking to do as we get a little bit closer to the Knoxville Nationals.
We're here at Lernerville, and Lernerville's a unique race. The first race is a regular World of Outlaw format. That's it's just normal deal. You invert your heat races, and then you run a 30-lap main event, and then you come back right after that, and you run another 30 laps. But it's totally inverted to how you finish the first main event. So if you run well, which we need to do, we hope to start in the back of the second main event and work our way to the front. It's a very unique race. It's a very fun race. Don Martin Memorial is a very prestigious race that everybody wants to win, and it's always a good time here at Lernerville Speedway. And then we go to we go to Lincoln Speedway. We had a good run there last time. Run top 5 there. Not one of my best tracks that I've run on, but with Barry Jackson turning the wrenches, we seem to get better and better each time we've been there. So really looking forward to going back there.
And then the Grove coming up. It's always tough when you go to central Pennsylvania, Lincoln and Williams Grove. But, you really you mentioned it a little bit. You have a little bit of an ace in the hole with Barry Jackson as your crew chief. Spent many years both on the road and in central Pennsylvania. How much of an asset is it to you as someone that maybe hasn't raced in central Pennsylvania as much as him? How much of an asset is it to have Barry in your corner wrenching on your car when you head to these tracks?
Oh, it's a big asset. He's got more laps around that racetrack than a lot of mechanics out here. And, every time we go there, my race car's pretty good. And it just builds confidence for me to know that I got Barry in my corner. He works very diligent on this race car, and always steps up his game when we get to Williams Grove. That's his home track and a place he always wants to win. So having him there is a big asset to our team, and it's a big confidence booster for me also.
Well, he's one of the best minds in the World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series pit area, Barry Jackson. We just we need to get him worked on a little bit. When you guys win a race, he needs to learn how to smile in the victory lane photos, man.
Yeah, well, Barry's
he's a very intense guy.
He's a very intense individual, and he's very happy when we run races, and when we run third or fourth, he's not very happy. But it's not lack of effort on anybody's part. It's just he's always thinking of how he can make his race car better. Even when we win a race, he's always trying to figure out how we can make the race car a little bit better. So he's a very intense individual, and I'm very lucky to have him as my crew chief.
Well, we've been chatting with Paul McMahan here, winner of the Brad Doty Classic, a very solid weekend at the Kings Royal, and we just want to take this opportunity to congratulate you one more time, and thanks for stopping by Gas and Glory again, my friend.
Thanks for having me on the show.
We want to thank Paul McMahan for stopping by once again here on Gas and Glory. And Neil, great interview. You heard the emotion in his voice talking about the win, and he even gave us a preview of some of the tracks coming up. To me, it really seems like this number 51 team and Paul are firing on all cylinders right now, and they're going to be a threat throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, like we were talking earlier, they've kind of separated themselves and making a 3-car push for the title, and everything's firing on the CJB deal. I mean, Paul's out there performing quick times on the weekend and continue to be up on the wheel, and it's really kind of a neat deal.
Yes, sir, it is. Coming up, World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series heads for Pennsylvania. Some events that are upcoming. A second trip this season to Lincoln Speedway, which Paul McMahan set a new track record there earlier this year. Williams Grove for the Summer Nationals, 2-night show. And then they head up to Lebanon Valley in New York, which is – they actually pit the cars on a drag strip up there. It's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. They pit the cars on the drag strip, and then they push them over to the dirt track.
Cool.
Yeah. And then and then they go up to Canada.
Canada. Seriously, Kyle?
Yes, I did. I heard the Canadian anthem this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep, when I went to Portland.
Portland for straight line stuff.
Yeah, we went for straight line stuff, and then coming back,
Any snowmobiles?
no snowmobiles this weekend. We were too far south.
Oh.
Yeah. Next time, though, we're going to Seattle, and then the last race of the year is in Canada.
Well, when is that race?
Like first weekend in September.
There's probably a good chance it's going to snow.
Well, let's hope not. Rolling right along, Power Eyes at Belle Claire in St. Francis County this weekend. Local tracks have a lot of stuff going on, so looking forward to things. And then, oh, by the way, coming up next week, the 1-800 Car Cash Mud Summer Classic at Eldora. The NASCAR trucks are back on dirt.
Yeah, hide the matches and the flammables.
Whatever. Last year's Mud Summer Classic viewing party was it's not fit for air.
It was epic.
Yeah, epic. Well, let's just leave it at epic.
And you've been trying to push this deal off on my venue or my house, and I've
because
decided
you have cable.
No, I'm out.
Because you have cable.
Well, we got cable in our lobby here.
You got to clear that with the accounting department.
Oh man, we got a key to the building. We're good. Party, everybody invited. R&R next week. Truck race.
You know, if you really were thinking, you wouldn't have said that on a public internet radio show.
Oh.
Yeah. Moving right along.
Sorry.
And now that Neil has made a fool of himself yet again, it is time for my favorite part of the show. Squeal or no squeal. Each and every week, folks, we pose 3 racing-related questions, and then Neil and I give our opinions in the form of a squeal if we agree or no squeal if we don't. Aren't you just happy to do this every week?
Thrilled.
All right, you've got question number 1, bud.
Is Kerry Madsens' King's Royal victory good for sprint car racing? Absolutely. Squeal.
Squeal on that one. All right, explain it.
I like Kerry Madsen. I mean, how can you not be a sprint car racing fan and not like Kerry Madsen and say it's good for sprint car racing?
Way to have depth in your answer. I'm going to go squeal on this one because it's always good to see Australians come over here and do very well, and add to the fact that Kerry was extremely emotional about it because when he came over here in the late 80s, the King's Royal was one of the first races he saw of American sprint car racing, like he called it, and that's what hooked him, man. So for him to win that race, it's awesome. You see Donnie Schott, Steve Kinzer, all of these Americans go down to Australia, win races. Shane Stewart, Tim Kading, 2 more to mention. But it's really cool to see an Aussie come over here, like when we see Brooke Tatnell win. It's always cool to see the Aussies come over here on American soil to win.
To be honest, though, Brooke Tatnell and Kerry Madsen have been over here long enough. I think that they're just as much as American as we are anymore.
Hold on a minute, though. Hold on a minute. Where were you born?
In the
State.
Yeah, somewhere over in Illinois.
Okay. I was born in Kansas.
Yeah.
I live in Missouri now.
That's almost as foreign as Australian.
No
Kansas?
kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is I will always consider myself a native of Kansas.
Sure.
They will always consider themselves a native of Australia.
Yeah, but that I don't want to take this out of context or create controversy with it. I mean,
That's what we're here for.
You can't hold the fact that they're from Australia that's going to be a hindrance in performance. I mean, these guys,
It's
those
not
bull rings over there they run.
No. It's
Right.
not a hindrance in performance. What it does is it inspires people in Australia. Okay, one of our mates
Yeah.
went
Absolutely.
over and beat the Americans. That's the way they're going to look at it. That's why I think it's good for sprint car racing.
No, they're very passionate, and it's very cool to see Kerry put it together, and that's can't go wrong with this. It's great for sprint car racing and in a world in general. I mean, Australian, American, whatever the case is. I see they're starting to run some of these over in the UK now, too.
Hey, that's even more awesome. Do you think we could go to, like, Germany or Amsterdam for a race?
Possibly.
Okay, moving on
Give
to
it
question
some
number
time.
2. Is Billy Moyer a threat for the USA Nationals in August up at Cedar Lake?
If I say no squeal, I'm having a feeling that the old man's going to come and hunt me down.
So you're going to go squeal on that?
Yes.
All right.
And I have to talk to him on a daily basis.
Okay, well, we just got some insight into your day. There's a lot of guys running really well right now. I'm going to go no squeal on this one.
Billy Moyer.
I'm going to go no squeal on Billy Moyer.
Who you going with?
Scott Bloomquist.
Really?
He's got her hooked up right now. Maybe not him. There's a few other guys. I would
Pierce?
take Bobby Pierce. I'd take the squirrel Brian Shirley.
Yeah, those are good picks. Fager.
There you go. A lot of Team R&R guys right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, question number 3.
Should NASCAR mandate an age limit? Oh, boy. You went there this week.
That's the question. I'm going squeal on this.
Yes, I say squeal. I think there should be a mandated age for NASCAR. And it definitely brings up, after what we've seen this weekend, it brings up some questions, and definitely a squeal in this one.
I don't necessarily. Maybe it's not an age limit. There needs to be a cognitive test, like a reactions test.
Well,
something of that nature. Because here's the thing: NASCAR said that technically he maintained the minimum speed limit,
right?
So he was fine. And we're not making this about age, but the thing I think you need to look at as well too is how many 72-year-olds do you see riding bulls, playing contact football, competing in Major League Baseball? If NASCAR wants to be taking these drivers as athletes.
So you're saying that the test that they have in place, that they're saying that he meets the requirements, the minimum age.
Right now, only
he's passing, is what
Yes.
I'm saying. He's passing their test that they have, or the things that they have in place to be the check mark to be out there racing. He's
Right.
passing those. So you're saying you're looking for more of an extensive test to actually maybe put more pressure on him to perform at a better level to be able to compete.
What I'm saying more than anything
Or more
is
of a level.
he maintained the minimum speed limit. Okay, we know that the equipment is not. It's not Hendrick equipment. Let's just say that we're not dealing with that. I would like to see more testing actually done on the driver, because honestly, minimum speed, that to me more is a car requirement.
Sure.
Okay, I would like to see some more testing done for the drivers. You have a minimum age in NASCAR of 16. And remember, I believe it was Butch Hilton,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, ran the Daytona 500 at 72 years of age.
Yeah, I remember this was brought up about that too.
And, we're kind of getting to the same thing with the Morgan Shepherd discussion, and it got really thrust into the spotlight when Joey Logano and Morgan Shepherd got together. And that's who we're talking about here. I don't know if we covered that.
This incident's actually raised up this question and brought this to
This
light,
past weekend in New Hampshire. So, your thoughts?
Honestly, I think there does need to be an age limit on this, or maybe a squeal, or in agreement with you that there needs to be more of a test in place that limits, because this could get ugly and it could be a bad situation, and there needs to be more of an age restriction, even if it comes back and it says, hey, the drivers they can't start at 16, they got to start at 18. So
Now NASCAR used to be that way.
Yeah.
NASCAR originally was 16. They bumped it up to 18, and they bumped it back to 16 for the nationwide in trucks.
Sure.
But I'm agreeing with you on this. I would like to see more. We have the ability to test reflexes, reaction times. We have all of this great stuff we can test with. And maybe it's finally come to a point where we need to take a look at that and say, okay, there's some new things we need to implement here in our NASCAR driver physical.
Well, it's not only is this an issue in the NASCAR side. I think this is something that's been brought up and questioned even on the dirt side, whether it's late models or sprint cars.
Yeah.
Some of these higher output type forms of racing, you're seeing drivers get in at a young age. We're talking 12, 13, 14 years old getting into these big power sprint cars now, and the question's been brought up. When you put these cars out there where reaction time is a lot of things, and experience pays off in a big way. You're sitting somebody in there that's inexperienced in that type of power or that type of horsepower machine out there racing. A lot of things can happen really quick, and it's been questioned. It's always been a young age thing, so why can't it be a thing that goes back? Hey, somebody might be too old to be in a sprint car or NASCAR style car.
You bring up a very valid point, and we bring it on back to the dirt. But, folks, that was Squeal or No Squeal this week. See, isn't that fun?
It's a blast.
We get the chance to have a very nice debate, and you don't cry as much as you used to, so it's great.
Yeah, we don't throw anything in anymore or anything like that, so.
Yeah, it works very well. All right, folks, great racing coming up. We appreciate you guys very much for tuning in to Gas and Glory once again. We're on Twitter. Please be sure to check us out on YouTube. If you've missed an episode, we do have every one of them up on YouTube, and we're also in the iTunes stores as well, too. I had someone Facebook me the other day and say, hey, are you guys on iTunes? Because I want to put you on my iPod because I'm driving to Eldora.
Sure.
So we had people listening to us in the car. That's pretty awesome.
No, that's very cool, and feedback's always welcome from the fans out there. And
directed at Neil, not me.
Yeah, I can handle positive, negative, anything. And Kyle, unfortunately, looks always for the positive. Negative.
Oh no, I liked the negative. I mean, after the first week at Knoxville, I thought I was going to get negative. I thought I was going to have the negative thrust just throw me out of that town in Iowa, but I'm coming back.
Dan Drow Jr.
Dan Drow Jr. is going to win the Knoxville Nationals this year. All right, we are out of time, and you can pick up some phenomenal racing gear over at www.r-rracewear.com, the web's largest store for dirt track racing apparel and merchandise. On behalf of everyone here at R&R Enterprises, he's Neil Quick, and I'm Kyle Luters, and we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises. All rights reserved. Please visit the web's largest sprint car store today at www.r-rracewear.com. The views and opinions expressed in the show are the host and guest alone and do not directly reflect those of R&R Enterprises.